Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 62. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so the way we start the episode off is not how I'm going to start this episode or this review because, for the most part, this episode is really contained to the country club, and we have like a few scenes that aren't. So that's the ones that I'm going to talk about first. So we see. Um, let's start with this. Okay, so we see Ashley is at work and Grayson walks up to her and he brings her a chocolate candy bunny or whatever. She asks him what he's doing after work and he says he's going to see his mom and she offers to go with him. And she says, she just wants to help any way that she can. So she has to go back to, she gets a call. So she says, give me a second. And he gets a text from Jacob telling him to meet him in the stairwell. So he goes to meet Jacob in the stairwell, and Grayson is just like, "Why are we meeting here?" Jacob is just like, "Have you gotten any new intel on who you work for?" All this other stuff, and Grayson is just like, he ain't trying to hear none of that. He's just like, "Man, we not supposed to be meeting here, X, Y, and Z." And Jacob is just like, "Man, just give me the bag. Like, we here now, so what we gonna do?" So he gives him the bag, and then Jacob walks off, and Leah is watching all of this happen or whatever. So um he comes back and he's looking for Ashley, and then Leah walks up on him or whatever. She reprimands him and is just like, "Who was that you was with, and who told you to make the changes and X, Y, and Z?" And he was just like, "Oh, that's Rashad, that's the new guy, blah 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 blah." Then she's telling him like, "You must have forgot X, Y, and Z." Then they see Ashley coming up, and she threatens him, like basically saying like, someone has to be reprimanded for not going by the rules or whatever, which is so stupid, honestly. Like, y'all doing this drop in an elevator in the hotel that y'all are stealing stuff from. Like, why would y'all do it so close to home? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would y'all commit the crime in the place that y'all don't want them to know that you're doing the crime in? So, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense why they're even doing it at the hospital. Like, I would have thought that you would try to make sure that it's not anywhere near the hospital so that they couldn't figure you out, but I guess. So, she goes up she goes up to Leah. I mean, Leah goes up to Ashley, and she's like, Ashley's trying to kiss up to her, and Leah's just like, "Why are you on my clock?" I was just like, "Well, golly, just rude." Um, so Ashley's just like telling her what she's doing, and Leah gives her kudos, and then she belittles her in the exact same sentence. So then Ashley walks up to Grayson and she's just like, "Oh, what did Leah do?" And then he's just like, "Huh?" And she'll just like, "Oh, I saw y'all talking. Da 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 da. Is everything okay?" He was just like, "Yeah." And she asked him, "What time are you leaving?" And he was just like, "Oh, I talked to my mom and she's not feeling well. So I'm not gonna go see her anymore, and I'll call you later." And he leaves, and she's looking like all dejected. And I'm just like, "Girl, this is the jump off. Why are you trying to meet his mama so bad? Like, girl, what is wrong with you? You move at the speed of light with people." And it's just like, you didn't do this with Derek. You didn't even want to move in with this man, and you over here trying to rush to meet this one's mama, and you've only been dating him for how long? Are y'all even dating? Aren't y'all supposed to be just a jump off? But whatever. So we see Ted runs into Carlton. He had seen Nicole with Kyle, so he initially was about to go into the country club, but when he seen them, he got in his feelings or whatever. So Ted sees him, And Ted is just like, you want to talk? And um he was just like, yeah, let's go get a drink. And then he sees a bunny, and we find out that he's afraid of bunnies or rabbits or whatever. So they leave, they go to Uptown. They're talking about Nicole, and he tells him what Carlton tells Ted what happened with the date and all this other stuff. And um Ted is saying that, Nicole hid a side of herself and maybe she wasn't comfortable enough to show him. And he's happy that she's found it now, even though it shocks everybody around her. And I was just like, no, you hid a side of yourself from her, not the other way around. You hid a whole life, a whole baby from her. So shut up. But he gives him advice, and I'm just like, this is just so awkward. Like, this is again one of the reasons why I was just like, I don't know about Kyle, and not Kyle, but I don't know about Carlton and Nicole, because it's just so close to home. And then just to see Ted giving him advice about her and how to be with her, and we all know what's going to happen. Nicole and Ted are going to eventually get back together. So then it's going to be like, this is just going to be really, really messy. But hey, child, it is what it is. So let's see. What do we see next? Oh, child, because this is a lot. The episode wasn't a lot. It was just like a lot in one section. So I'm trying to do it. Let me just go here. So this is where majority of it is. All right. So the episode initially starts off with Anita being dressed, and Vernon saying, oh, I thought you were asleep. And she was just like, no, I woke up feeling good and I want to go to the club. I've never missed out a family Easter. I'm not going to start this year. She tells him, if I get tired or I get restless, you can take me home. And he was just like, bet. Cool, let me go get dressed. So they go get dressed. We go to the country club. We see Danny and Andre. They come in. They greet Bill and Hayley. Well, actually, Danny just tells them Happy Easter. Then they walk to their table, and then Chelsea and Naomi are behind them. And when they walk in, Hayley sees them, and she's mean mugging Naomi. Chelsea asks Naomi, what was that about? Naomi tells her basically she called Hayley on her BS and about what has transpired with Kat and Tomas and Bill and Hayley. And what's her name? Chelsea was just like, oh yeah, Hayley, not Hayley, but Kat was telling me X, Y, and Z or whatever. So Chelsea is just like, oh, I wonder if Dad believes her. And they look over, and Naomi is just like, it looks like it. So then we see Nicole. She comes in, and she's with Kyle. She comes in with Kyle. He thanks her for inviting him, and she thanks him for last night. They walk into the club, and that's when Carlton sees them or whatever. So we see Naomi. She's texting Jacob, asking if they can meet up or whatever. Asking if they can meet up. She goes back to sit down. Andre talks about how he didn't get to do this growing up because him and his family used to do their own thing. So he was never a part of this, this for Easter or whatever. So Danny starts to tell him how her and Nicole used to dress the girls up in matching fits and then in their little pigtails, and they were all so cute. And then Chelsea says, and then they always mess it up during the egg hunt. She talks about how she always was losing and Kat was always winning. And she was winning up until high school, and then Andre was just like, oh, and then she stopped, and she was just like, no, she created a club to teach the younger kids how to win. And then Andre was just like, oh, so she did that, so she's always going to be winning in perpetuity or whatever. And they laugh it off. Naomi comes and sit back down, and Naomi's sitting there listening to them or whatever. Chelsea says that, she feels like Naomi always was spying on the workers as they were hiding the eggs, and that's how she knew where the eggs were or whatever. So Danny asked her, a question, and she's not focused because she's like, thinking about Jacob, and she was just like, huh? So they asked her again, and she was just like, oh, she says Kat was relentless and Chelsea was slow, and it was just like, and she still is. So they all laugh it off. Danny asks her if she's okay. She says, yeah, she's just thinking of Jacob. And then Chelsea says, Madison's at work, and Madison's also at work, but at least Kat is spending her morning with Tomas, and it's just like she could have been spending it with y'all, but I guess they couldn't have that many people in the scene together because, yeah, we didn't see none of Nicole's kids or her grandkids. She's never with her kids. Like, but I digress. So, Kyle tells we see, they're at Kyle and Nicole are at the bar, and he's telling her that he ran into Vanessa, and how she said, she wishes that Nicole would have brought him on the date. And she tells him, we went with I went with Carlton, and then she explains what happened. And she says it was a disaster, and he says, oh, so that's why you came to me, to blow off some steam. And she was just like, yes, and I feel so much better. And he tells her, my door is always open. So then we see her introducing him to the family. He's already met Nicole. He's already met Andre and Danny, and I think he's met Naomi. I'm not sure, but he hasn't met Chelsea. So she introduces, and he like goes, he talks about all of them and how Nicole's always talking about them or whatever. They're all laughing and having a good old time, and Bill was on the phone, like he was outside. We see him walking in, and he hears them laughing, so he walks over and ignores Hayley or whatever. So he comes over, he greets them. He wishes them a happy Easter. Then he and Danny start to reminisce about the kids' Easter's past or whatever. Um, and then he goes back to his table or whatever. So Nicole asks Chelsea about the Fenmore's deal, and she's just like, Kat hasn't said anything, and it's just like, do you talk to Kat? But whatever. Chelsea's still worried about it. She said it's been weeks and X, Y, and Z. And then Andre tells her, once it goes through, I'll be more than happy to do a photo shoot for the collab. She's excited about that. Um, let's see. Then we see Danny and Nicole. They're at the bar, and Nicole is just like, "Well, why couldn't we order our drinks at the table?" And she's just like, "Well, I couldn't ask you any questions about, why you brought him instead of Carlton, because I thought that's who you were bringing." And she tells her, what happened the night before, and and she doesn't want to get into it, but it didn't go well. And Danny is just like, girl, it is what it is. You went on to the next model. Cool. Danny. So they're talking, and then Anastasia rolls up on them, and she makes a remark about Nicole not being at the last cotillion meeting or whatever. And Nicole was just like, I got a career in addition to my charity work. And Anastasia says, well, your split focus is going to help them win or whatever. And Danny tells her, what don't you get? Dupree has always won Platinum Deb every time they debuted. And Anastasia says, yeah, but Samantha isn't really a Dupree. Child, she is on that. So Anita walks up on her, and she says, say that again to my face. What you gonna do? Anita, she brought her Chicago out in that moment. I wish she would bring her Chicago out when she talking to Leslie, but whatever. So I'm sorry. Anastasia tries to play it off. Anita isn't having it, and she tells her not to bring hate to her family, especially on a day like this. And they send her on her way. Again, I don't know why they don't do that to Leslie, but I digress. Then Danny and Nicole, they laugh it off, and then they ask why she's there, because they're happy that she's there, but they're wondering. She tells them, I'm feeling good, want to be here, so I'm here, and they're happy. So she takes them all over to go meet Kyle. Um, Let's see. Yeah, so she takes them all over to meet Kyle. Then we see Andre and Kyle. They're at the bar, and Kyle tells him that he isn't going to bring any trouble to Nicole's life. Vernon goes to speak with Bill, and he just wants to let him know that Anita told me what you were going to do, and I'm okay with it, and I trust you. And he thanks him, and Bill says he won't let him down. And Vernon is just like, I know you won't. And Bill is all excited. So Hayley notices the excitement, and she's just like, wow, what a difference time makes, because at Thanksgiving they didn't even give us the time of day. Now they're inviting you into family functions, and they're being cordial to me for the most part. So then Danny comes over, and she's just like, hi Haley, is it okay if I still Bill away for a second? Bill looks at her, and she was just like, go ahead. And she thanks him, and then they walk away, and then Haley's just like, they got me messed up. And it's just like, girl, shut up. So we see the family. They're getting to know Kyle. Naomi finally gets a response from Jacob to tell her, yeah, we can meet. And she's asking where, and he tells her where. So she's getting ready to leave, and then Bill and Danny come up to her, and they want to talk to her. She's trying to leave, but they, say it's only going to be a second. So they ask about Jacob, and Bill says he can call Elon. She's just like, no, everything's okay. Danny mentions their anniversary is tomorrow, and she tells him, you can come to me. And she says, she says, I know. She hugs him and she leaves. Bill is pissed that Jacob couldn't even come home for their anniversary, and Danny wonders if they're having issues. Bill says maybe, but he says maybe, but he knows Naomi isn't telling them the whole story. So Andre comes out. He checks on Danny, and she wonders how things are going in there. Back in there, and they're fine. We see Vernon and Anita talking about the plot twist. Shout out to Miss Mika about Nicole bringing bringing Kyle instead of Carlton. Anita is happy. This is what she needed. She just wants to be with family, and she's happy about that. We see Chelsea. She's checking on. She goes to say hi to check on Bill and Hayley, and she Bill says he's glad Anita is in good spirits, and Chelsea says, as she's looking at Hayley, she says, the big C is learning what I've known all my life, that you don't mess with, you don't, you never bet against the Dupree women. No, you never bet against the women in my family. They always come out on top. Enjoy your day. I said, okay, girl, okay. I love that you can always have that smoke for Hayley, but you be coming at your sister cousin, best friend, when she has that smoke for Kat. But whatever, I'm gonna still rock with you for having that smoke against Hayley. I just need you to let Kat have the same smoke for Eva. But we gonna move past. So we see. Let's see. So yeah, Bill looks at Hayley and is just like, oh. Ooh. So while all of this is also going on, we see Hayley. She gets a text from Lynette, and Lynette took a picture of some clothes, and she says of some clothes that she got, and she says, thanks. I'm about to go to brunch with Randy on you. And Hayley's pissed. So Bill has come back over. This is, again, all of this was happening. So he had went to go talk to the Duprees. He came back when he was reminiscing with them. He came back over. Her phone dings, and he was just like, oh, who's that? And she says, oh, Lynette, she's having a hard day, so I was just giving her some encouragement or whatever. He tells her he tells her that he knows Lynette has been running up her credit card, and he asks when was she going to tell him. She says, I didn't want you to think bad of me. I didn't want you to judge me. And she felt bad when he had stopped paying for Lynette's suite because she had got used to it. And he was just like, it was only supposed to be temporary. She was only supposed to be staying there until we found the attacker. We found the attacker, and he probably left town at this point, so we don't need to be doing all of this. He tells her it's not their responsibility to make Lynette feel safe, and they have already gone above and beyond for her. She says that she'll talk to her. He tells her money isn't the problem; it's that Lynette is taking advantage of her, and he tells her they aren't going to support her forever. So then we see, what do we see? Sorry. What did we see? What did we see? I sorry. Uh, oh yeah, okay. So we see Anita. She's coming back from, I guess, the bathroom, and she runs into Jennifer Holiday. They've known each other for a while because they became friends when they had dueling concerts or whatever. They went to when they were in St. Louis or something like that. Like they had concerts that were going on at the same time. They had met up at a restaurant in St. Louis and they became fast friends. So she was there to check on Anita. Vernon. Vernon had set it up and he had a surprise for Anita. So we come back in and we see Anita. She gives an annual speech that Vernon normally does, and she just wanted to give thanks because of everything that's been going on and everything that's been going on or whatever. And then she introduces Jennifer Holiday to sing to everyone. That's how the episode ends. But we before the episode ends, we do see Naomi. She's at the hotel with Jacob, and he asked her about Anita. She tells him Anita's doing good. She was just going crazy because she was afraid. She just wanted to make sure he was safe. She tells him about Isaiah and their mom, and he's worried. And she was just like, no, Isaiah told your mom about the burner, and he was just like, man, I'm about to rough that boy up. So she's like, he's pissed about that. She's mad because she was just like, your mom is worried. She wanted to talk to you, but I turned her down because I couldn't give her the phone because what if it rang at the wrong time and da 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 da. And she's mad that Isaiah put her in that position. He's just like, nah, it's cool. I understand. Um, I don't fault you for it. She asked him how he's doing, and she wants to know if he can tell her anything. Maybe she can help on her end, at the office of Orphe Jeans. He says no, but it's wrapping up soon, and he hates that he's missing everything. She said it's cool. He tells her believing in him, it means everything to him, and he hates that he's going to miss their anniversary. She says that's fine. That just means we're going to do it big when you come back to me. And he says, well, we can take advantage of it now. Then they start to kiss, and then they have sex. And again, the episode ends with Jennifer Holiday um, singing a ballad to everybody. So yeah, that was the Easter episode. So I am catching up, guys. Don't be mad at me. I'm coming, I promise. It's been a lot. My weekends have been busy, busy, busy. But I'm catching up, I promise. But yeah, this was a cute little episode. I wish I wish we had a little bit more familiar episodes. I mean, not familiar episodes because we do have that. So this was a good family focused centered episode. I'm not mad at it. I just wish that for because this is like the only holidays that we have seen and Cat and Martin was Christmas. We didn't see them for. Did we see them for Halloween? I mean, the families weren't together for Halloween, so that doesn't count. They weren't there for Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think. Yeah, they weren't there for Thanksgiving, and now they're not there for. Yeah, they weren't there for Thanksgiving. They weren't there for New Year's, and now they're not here for Easter. So, like the big family holidays like Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, I would expect to see the whole families together if they're going to be doing that. Because, like, why is it like why is Nicole's kids aren't there? if we're gonna do one, like if we're gonna do one with the family, then let's do the next one without the other family. Like we did Thanksgiving with Naomi, Jacob, Isaiah, and I think Chelsea was there. No, Chelsea was with Madison, but Naomi was there or whatever. So then, well, was Martin and Smitty at Thanksgiving? Maybe they were. I can't remember. I can't remember. But if we're gonna do like for then Easter, then um we should have had Kat and Chelsea, since if okay, yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, yeah, for Thanksgiving they had Naomi and Jacob and Isaiah, and then I think Martin and Smitty. So then for Easter they should have had Kat and Chelsea since they missed Thanksgiving. But again, Nicole can't be with Kat. I don't know why. It is what it is. But yeah, that was the episode. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.